Context is key with this AI stuff. So, as we get into this AI native attempt journey, these video series, I thought a little context would be helpful. Specifically, what is PlayThru? In other words, what is the company that we're going to be nativing? AI nativing. Uh, what is it? Where did it come from? How did we get to where we're at today? Where are we today? Essentially, what are the KPIs that we're tracking that we're going to be measuring against as we layer on these AI automation? And then where are the opportunities? Where is this thing going? So that as we build in these AI automations, where's the potential? Where's the output? Where's the end result that we're looking for here? So let's get into it in this video.
My name is Keith Mooring, and I am documenting my journey of turning a one-person side hustle into an AI native business, where AI-powered automations and systems do most of the work. My hope is that the wins and losses along the way serve as a roadmap for other small businesses working to scale and grow in the era of AI.
So the point of today's episode is to get everyone up to speed on the project. Where are we at today? Where are we going? And how are we going to get there? So then that starts with, I have to introduce you to PlayThru. And we'll try to do this as short and concise and non-boring as possible. But PlayThru is a live scoring system for golf events. It's a web app. There are no apps to download. Users jump into PlayThru, set up their events. They put in their event details, choose the course, and then enter in their golfers. PlayThru then generates a short link. That link, or it also does a QR code, but the organizer sends that link out to everyone playing in their group. Those people open the link on the browser, select their name, and start entering scores. It's designed to be like stupid simple, which I just recently learned that stupid simple is a derivative of keep it simple, stupid, or the KISS acronym. Anyway, doesn't matter. But the idea was simple, stupid, simple. And reason being, if you've ever tried to get a bunch of golfers or people who are half paying attention to anything, let alone something to do with technology, it can't be overly complicated, especially if most of those people are older and hate technology to begin with. So with PlayThru being link, select your name, start entering scores, that's been a large reason why we're at where we're at in terms of growth, and which we'll get into the numbers here in a little bit. But it has been a big reason because most of my competitors make you download an app, and that just doesn't fly with larger groups. And with live scoring, it's only as good as the number of people who are actually using the tool. So it had to be simple. The other thing that kind of sets PlayThru apart from the competition, and one of the reasons why we're at where we're at, is it's free to use. I designed it to be essentially, you can create an account for free. You can create as many scorecards as you want for free. You can add as many golfers as you want to those scorecards, all for free. The thinking behind it was, the more people who use it, there's an exponential visibility and referral system built into the product. I share with a bunch of golfers, 130 golfers, for example. Every one of those golfers golfs elsewhere or in other outings or runs their own outing. So the idea was, let's make it free, get as many people to see it and use it as possible to maximize the number of golfers coming in. PlayThru makes money by offering upgrades. So you want access to a specific feature, or you want to customize the look and feel of the scorecards, you can do that, but there's a cost that comes with it. So that's been kind of the model to date. Create the scorecards, charge for upgrades, let the product kind of grow organically. It didn't start out that way. So when I started PlayThru, it was actually back, I had probably the origin stuff was probably back in 2010. In 2010, this with me, curled up, fetal position on the couch, not crying, because 2 days prior to this, we had hosted our family golf event, our family golf championship. Our family golf championship, if you've never heard of it, is the Atwood Open. It's very prestigious, very important for all 8 of us that play in it. And so but winning that championship comes with bragging rights for the rest of the year. There is a trophy, which I've got currently. I won this year. And there are like Christmas gifts. You have to give the other participants a Christmas gift that kind of essentially puts them in their place and humbles them a little bit. So that year, 2010, I ended up losing that year by one stroke to, of all people, my brother. And he is the worst when it comes to humbling those people who lost. So I lost by one stroke, come home, record keeping, as one does, obviously, and only to discover that I had added my own score wrong. Instead of losing by one to my brother, I had actually tied him and would have potentially forced a playoff hole. I was devastated. I was not in a good place. Um, so I vowed at that point that we were never manually keeping score again. So I built for the next year, I built kind of this glorified scorecard, which was essentially a Google sheet. We all plugged our scores into the same Google sheet and it automatically tallied up everyone's scores. So it was great. We used it for the next few years and added a whole different dynamic to the event, which it made it a lot more fun because we were all fairly competitive and it made the event more competitive. So fast forward 2015, I'm frustrated at work. The work isn't exciting. It's not overly challenging. I'm bored and I wanted to build a new skill set. I wanted to learn how to code. And so I was like, well, what if I take this scorecard that we're using for family events and convert it into like a web app that people can actually use? It's kind of like pull up on your browser kind of thing. So I started it. And essentially I started my side hustle journey. And if you've ever read Burn the Playbook by Joe Pulizzi, which I highly recommend, it's a tremendous book. But in there, he has a line. Let me make sure I get cool, right? I hate the term side hustle. Let's just call it what it is, a slow motion identity crisis. 100%. It stings a little bit having a side hustle, but he's not wrong. It was absolutely, I needed a change in my career. I didn't want to lose my job. I loved where I worked. I loved the people I worked with, but I needed something else. So in my spare time, I built PlayThru as a web app. Around that same time, we were hosting a memorial outing for my uncle every year. We had about 130 golfers come out. And so I convinced my uncle, who was kind of overseeing the thing, to let us try this prototype that I had built. I demoed for him and he was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So we did it. And what was surprising was about 80% of the golfers used it. I was hoping for 50%, but 80% of the golfers used it. And it added a whole different dynamic because you've got this golf course filled, but now everyone can see where everyone else was at. And it turned out that my team was in the lead. I didn't cheat. We were in the lead. I had nothing to, I did get accused of cheating, but I did not. But we finished and the team that was in second place hadn't finished yet. So we actually went out to their hole and watched them finish their round. And we ended up winning, which was even better. But it was just a whole different level of excitement and all the scores were in. So as soon as the event was over, we had all the scores done. So that was the moment. Okay, there's something here. This is a valuable product that if I can continue to refine it, improve it, could be worth something and help a lot of different organizations and golf outings out along the way. So continued to tinker with it for another couple of years. A couple other core events that I know locally were started using it. Very, very positive feedback. One in particular said that they won't do it without it anymore, just because even just the end of the round scoring just is simplified. So then 2020, kind of level set there. We were getting the site would generate about 20 new accounts a month, which was awesome at the time. Very exciting. But then COVID hit. And if you remember, there were very few things you could do with people, with groups of people at the time, golf being one of them. So 2020 goes through 2021, heat of COVID season. All of a sudden, we're from 20 accounts a month to about 200 a month is what we were generating. We went from 142 total accounts in 2020 to 1,600 new accounts in 2021. That was huge growth. And then 21 to 22, we increased that number by 60%. And then 22 to 23, 75%. So it really, really started to catch on. Google was the largest driver of that traffic because we owned the search results. I'm a digital marketer by trade, so I primed the site to be optimized well. And we started growing like crazy. And so that's where kind of we're at that today. But then last year, excuse me, 2024, halfway through the year, a user reaches out. Hey, can you apply this to a mini golf course? And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Yes, we could easily just kind of create a QR code, scan it, create a scorecard right then and there. So I built the features. We tried it out. It got really positive feedback. So eventually I decided, okay, we need to spin off its own product. So I created its own version. Like there's a PlayThru mini version and there's a PlayThru golf events version. And that the mini golf side is where a ton of revenue growth has come from. It's the biggest opportunity to grow the company sales wise is through that channel. B2B sales is a lot easier than B2C sales. So that's kind of where we're at and how PlayThru has gotten to where it's at currently. But let's look at specifically some of the data itself. So the goal with this whole thing, this whole AI native attempt journey is I'm going to be as transparent as anybody. I'll show you all the numbers. We'll kind of keep tabs on everything. So if you've got any questions or any thoughts or things you want to know, put it in the comments. I'll do my best. If I can't answer it, I will answer it. So if we're looking at benchmarks, website traffic, looking at over the last couple of years. So this is the end part is 2025, 2024, 23, 22. 22, we were getting about 20,000 sessions a month in traffic. Very exciting at the time. But then 23 hit, 24 hit, and that was the best year by far. And then 25, it seems like we're doing really, really well. But the reality is in that hump, essentially, of sessions, there's a lot of mini golf traffic. So the event traffic has actually tailed off quite a bit. And a large reason for that is Google. So this is our Google traffic to the site over the past 3 years or so, 4 years. So again, nice 2022, 23, 24 was the best. And then Google traffic has dropped off. And I'm sure, and I know that this is the case for a lot of other people out there. Google is just kind of slowing down. The AI answers are driving less traffic. And for example, our resource content is the large reason why we're down. I've dived into that and all the content we've created to help organizations run successful events, maximize the impact of those events has tapered off. We're showing up a lot more in AI results, but those don't generate clicks. And so the results is the new accounts that come in from that traffic has also subsided. Not subsided, but kind of plateaued or slowed down. One of my favorite ones, and the one I was kind of really in love with very, very early on, was the number of page views per month. So in 2022, we were getting about 200,000 page views per month, which I was ecstatic about. The fact that something I built is being seen and used and all that and to the tune of 200,000 page views per month was unbelievable. But then the next year hit. And then all of a sudden that year we eclipsed 1 million page views in a year and then doubled that and then continued to increase page views. It's that with this one, obviously it's a vanity metric. It means absolutely nothing in the long run, but it is fun to see the number of page views that come in every month. New accounts. So this day we can go back a little bit further on data here, but you can see 2020, 20 accounts per month, things start to increase in 21 and then continue. And then we start to slow back down again in 2025. And then if you're looking at overall new accounts by year, these are the numbers. So we had about 5,000 new accounts last year, which is phenomenal. But we are well below that pace this year and not even actually at 2023's pace so far. I'm starting to layer in why we're doing what we're doing with the AI automation stuff, because we need to kick this thing back into gear if it's ultimately going to be worth me keeping around and keeping this thing alive. One of the other metrics that we look at very, very closely is number of scorecards created, because that's ultimately the indicator of how often people are using it. And actually, there's probably a layer to that where number of scorecards created and fully completed, or at least 80% completed. I'm not going to get into that here, but number of scorecards created in 22 versus 24, obviously a huge jump. but 2025, we're well off that pace. And I know that because this yellow line here is where we should be at, or where we were at last year through September. And the date of today it's October 3rd. So this is number of scorecards through today. So we're nowhere near that pace. We're several thousand off of where we should be in 2024. Obviously, that's a bit of a warning sign here. The other thing that we're looking at is number of support tickets. So as the tool gets used more often, you can see that there are more the support tickets that come in. And this is kind of to be expected, but it's just me. So there's like manning and responding and kind of coordinating with all these support tickets and processing them. And they come in at any time. And I try to get back to them within an hour or two. It's not always possible, but the number of support tickets I respond to, like in 2024 in September, was 41. That's at least one a day, probably, and usually more than one a day. And they don't usually all come in once at a time. They come in batches. So it takes time. It's a pain, but there's also a ton of good feedback in there. A lot of insight in terms of where the tool isn't successful, where it's confusing, where it's hard to use, and other features that we can layer in to improve it. So there's a lot of gold there, but I need some help. I need to take this burden off my plate. And then the other one is a revenue one. So looking at this one in particular shows very nice signs of growth, but with some caveats. So 2023, we did well. 2024 broke $20,000 in a year. And then this year, we've already surpassed that. We're at $30,000. Now, relative to the amount of time that I've put into this stupid web app, I'm getting paid maybe 5 cents an hour. So it's not great, but it's nice that there is some revenue coming in. I could do more with it. We could do advertising campaigns, that kind of stuff. But the thing here to note is 2024, this was all event sales, event upgrades, event stuff. This one, we're layering in the mini golf stuff. So now you can start to see why the potential for mini golf is big, because while everything else is down, mini golf has helped us improve the volume of revenue coming in, which enables us to do more stuff. So that in a nutshell are the main KPIs that we look at on a regular basis. Now, the other one that I don't necessarily have metrics for, but we need to discuss because it's the primary reason why we're doing the AI native stuff, the AI automation stuff, is time. This PlayThru is, and has, and for the past 5-10 years, has been a part-time job for me with not a lot of revenue on the other side of it. So it's a ton of work. It's very valuable work. It's fun. It's a cool project to work on. I love it. It's my baby. I don't want it to go anywhere, but it's a lot of work. And the reality is the other side of it too, that I really appreciate, is we're working with a lot of like nonprofit organizations and people who are running events for very good causes. So where and when I can, like, yeah, you get upgrades for free. Just ask and I'll do it, because I love supporting those types of groups. It's rewarding. It brings a smile to my face every time. And so it's a lot of work though. It's a lot of time that I'm putting into this on a regular basis. And I need to take that burden off my plate. And it's not generating enough revenue to hire someone to do it yet. So that's why the AI stuff is coming in. And I track my time as best I can, but with all the stuff coming out of nowhere, especially with the service tickets coming out of nowhere, it's hard to do. So I don't have a metric here, but time is going to be crucial in terms of just measuring. It's going to be more anecdotal for sure, but going to be looking at it specifically to see how much less time that I have to invest, and also what more I can do, because there is more time to do some of the other stuff that we need to do to grow this thing. 2 other things I wanted to hit on. Some of the main problems I see with the product as it is now, and then also where's the potential here? Where is the growth opportunity? So the problems, I already outlined it in some of those metrics. New users are drying up. We're not getting a ton of new traffic. Our main source of traffic and leads, new accounts, Google, isn't what it used to be. And we're all feeling that. So we need to figure out new ways to get around that. Using the product I feel is very intuitive, but I don't know if you've ever tried to build or manage anything for golf. Golf's complicated, unrelated, well, sort of related. If you've never seen Robin Williams do his drunk Scotsman inventing golf, it is literally the funniest thing I've ever seen. I'll put it in the notes here on this video, but definitely worth checking out. It's absolutely hilarious. But golf can get very, very complicated, especially how with all the various games and this person's on this team, but they want to score their point this way. I built in features. I've tried to keep it as simple as possible. I don't want to overcomplicate the setup process, but a lot of users come in and want the complicated stuff. So solving for that, the outing organizer part where you set up the event isn't overly isn't great on mobile. The experience on mobile isn't perfect, and a lot of the traffic and users now are using it on mobile. So I need to account for that. And then the other thing is I need to drive subscriptions. Subscriptions are predictable revenue. So new opportunities to drive subscriptions, get people off the one-off event upgrades onto subscriptions. That would be a key. Right now, not enough people are subscribing. They're just doing the one-off purchases. Now, on the bright side, the potential for this is the thing that keeps me up at night. It's not the stress of actually running the business. It's not overly stressful to do. It's the volume of money I know I'm leaving on the table here. For example, miniature golf outreach. So doing cold outreach to mini golf courses is actually not that bad. They are very receptive. I think the value props are pretty clear, especially when you layer on the fact that, hey, you don't have to spend all that money on paper and create all that waste at the same time. The opportunity is there. I just have to do it. And I haven't been able to do it because I don't have the time. The sponsorships. So there is a potential to partner with one company, one benefactor, and they are the PlayThru scorecard sponsor. So anybody using the free version of the account will also see their logo and maybe their ads on the screen. There's potential there to bring in one person for a high value ticket for the year. And I haven't done anything on that regard to go outreach, build relationships, and actually try to get someone in to sponsor the free version of PlayThru. I need to increase prices. I'm going to increase prices in like 3 years. And the event specific upgrades are not expensive. So there's some opportunity there. New features. There are some fun ones that I really, really want to build. One, the league management. There's a number of golf leagues that use PlayThru that they're using, but they don't have the features to actually manage the league built into it. So they're using it for the scorecards, but not the league management. I want to build those in. But now some AI tools I want in here. I want a AI round recapper. In other words, I want to automatically generate a sports center level highlight script after events so that people can read off, this person did this, and then this happened, and this happened. That could be so much fun. And it's not that hard. You just have to sit down and do it. And then an event setup assistant. So people coming in that have never used a tool, don't fully understand how to set up their event. Because we do get a lot of people who are setting up like charity scramble events, have never done it. They don't play golf. We're told to do it. So how do we get that person the tools they need to simplify the setup process? Not overly complicated, but if we can layer on that, that would make it better. I'm not doing anything to market it. There is no channel diversification in the marketing side of things. There's no social media activity. I have a contact list of about 18,000 contacts that have come in through PlayThru. And I am doing nothing to message, no emails, no anything. And I know a decent amount about them. I know where they're at. I know their interests and why they started using PlayThru. We ask that question when they come in. So long story short, I believe that if we do the automation, the AI powered stuff really well, there's no reason that this $30,000 a year business can't grow into a 6-figure a year business. And then ultimately, hopefully, sell for like 7 figures years down the road. I'm not there yet. Mentally, I'd like to be, but I'm not. That's kind of where I'd like to get with this. But generally speaking, there's a ton of potential if I could just spend the time on it. So that's a long way of saying, and I'm going to sum it up here, is PlayThru has done well so far. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to work on, but things are starting to slow down, which is not a good sign. And there are opportunities to grow. If I can just build more features in, spend more time, manage things better, reduce the time I'm spending on the business on non-revenue generating things, there are opportunities to grow it that way. And there are things that I can do to enhance the product to make it more usable and more user friendly. So now that you're fully up to speed, now, if you have any questions, definitely drop them in the comments. I'm happy to answer what I can. Next couple of videos, we're going to focus on prioritizing the automations to build. We're going to look at, accountabilities, roles, tasks, and then also go through and rate all of those based on impact and readiness. How ready are we to create and build and launch the automations to do some of the work that we've got? So hopefully you subscribe. It's definitely going to be a live documentation. I am not sugarcoating everything. Everything's on the table. So let me know. And if you have any ideas of things to do, things to consider, things to think about, absolutely please throw them in the comments.